G'day and welcome to my first test batch on the Grainfather G40. A lot of people, and what I used to do in the old days, when you first get a new system, you do a run. It's not so much a dry run, but a wet run. You use just water so you can learn your boil off rates and your volumes, make sure your volume markings are in the right spot and things like that. But with my last couple of systems, I've ditched that, and what I do is I get 5 kilo of grain. You could really make it any kilo of grain you wanted, and I just do a batch. A straight batch. I don't think too much about it. Bit of grain, a bit of hops, and that really gives you a better idea than just using water on what your system's going to do. So that's what I'm going to do here. I was going to go through the whole recipe, but I'm editing the video right now, and it's a very long video. So I won't talk too much about the recipe. Well, I'll quickly flash it up on the screen. I steer away from smash beers unless they're lagers or something, but this has 4 kilo of ale malt Gladfield, 650 grams of Munich, 250 grams of Carapils, and 100 grams of acidulated malt. With a simple hop bill of 10 grams of Magnum at 60 minutes, and an end of boil hop stand with 30 grams of Citra and 30 grams of Talus. About 5 minutes whirlpool, 5 minutes stand, and then I'm going to cube this batch just to save some time. You may have noticed it said 20 minutes in the recipe. That's because I'm no chilling. I'm only really going to do a 5-minute whirlpool, 5-minute stand. I make it slightly longer in the recipe just to allow for a little bit of extra bitterness you're going to get from the cube. It's very hard to judge that because the temperature's dropping all the time in the whirlpool, and most of these programs only give you one set temperature for the hop stand. I did have some little issues with the brew. I was going to cut those out and shorten the video, but I thought, no, you got to leave it in. You got to be honest on what happened on my first brew day. And sometimes what happens on the first brew day of new equipment, you do sort of get nervous and you worry about things you probably shouldn't worry about and you overdo things. But I thought I'd leave it all in today and we'll have a look. So the recipe said I needed about 36 litres. I'm putting about 46 litres into the Grainfather, and I'm going to heat that up and use some of that for my sparge. I'll pump that out before I mash in, obviously. Now I've gone 10 litres over. You don't need to, but that gives me 10 litres of water extra just in case I need some. If I spill some, I've still got some there, or if I use it for cleaning at the end, if it makes it all the way through the brew day. And also the vessel that I'm storing my sparge water in, while I'm mashing, its measurements don't start till a 10 litre mark. So having that extra 10 litres means that all the water I'm using for the sparge has litre graduations until, you know, if I know when I get to that 10 litres I've used up all the water I should need to, but I have got that extra there if I need it. Now of course you don't have to put it in something with graduations. You could put it in an esky and sparge with a jug or something like that just to keep it warm for the sparge. But what you'll see in a second, you've got to be a little bit careful with your sight glass because you've got a hose on it, because it's not just a sight glass, you know, it's the pump, the recirc arm as well. If you get a little air bubbles or things in that, you can start getting wrong readings. So it's worth it just to double check sometimes and make sure your levels are right. It's reading well over 46 now. If I put that in like that, you get a bit of water pressure, air pressure thing happening. And down here, now it's only reading 37. You wouldn't think that much would do it, but there wouldn't be enough pressure to do that, but it does it. Now we're going straight back up. Put the tube back in, down like that. Because I still had a few things to do and I wasn't sure how this programming runs, this is my first time using it, I decided to set it to strike temp manually. Then it asked for permission to connect to the Grainfather, which I allowed on the Grainfather, and I set it to 71. In hindsight, this is a bit slow this way. I should have set this before I connected. This way sort of just goes 1 degree at a time. Keep in mind, there could be other ways. So I turn the heat switch on. It looks like it's jumping around a lot there, but if you have a look on the side, it's only between 14.4 degrees, 14.7. That's probably just from the water stirring around in there with the pump. I'll jump in here again. This controller is a PID controller, PID controller. The way they differ from other controllers is that they can control the amount of power going to the elements. You can see here that the power to the elements has dropped right down. But we're not quite at temperature, and sometimes it takes a little bit to get to that temperature. It's more suited for mashers, so you don't overshoot. I'm new to all this, so there could be a setting to adjust things like this. We'll find that out in days to come. But now the water's there, I'm going to decant some of it. You could put it in an esky. I'm putting it in my other old Robo Brew here. You could put it in any sort of urn, or you know, anything, just to keep it aside for your sparge later. I'm jumping in again here without wanting to make the video go for too long. I thought it was worth talking about. Right now I'm just pumping out the excess water, the sparge water, into the other vessel. These systems, and it doesn't matter which system, they'll just about all have a magnetic drive pump in them. Magnetic drives are really good, they break less, and you can back off the pressure on them without damaging them. But what they don't like is air bubbles. You get air bubbles in them and they can just stop. I could have left this footage out, and I think it was just a freak accident. I'm not exactly sure how the air bubble got in there, but I thought I'd give you a look and show you how I got past it. I probably could have skipped a lot of these steps, like taking out the mesh pipe and things like that, and tried the solution that I knew usually works, but I just wanted to have a look. And of course, when you're pumping like this, one of the downsides is that our sight glass is where our water's getting pumped through, so you can't use your sight glass as an estimate of how much you're taking out, unless you stop and check it all the time. I've got, you know, readings over here on this other vessel, so it's given me a rough idea when to stop, and we're nearly there now. Taken out about 24 litres. $25 litres. I'll just let that settle down. I'll turn the pump off. We'll check on our sight glass that we're around about right. There should be 20 litres in there. Oh, I took out a little bit too much. Though we've got a bit of water expansion, so it could be up a little. But my 20 litres read last time 19 litres. So we'll work that out when we get to it. It really doesn't look like much, but water can be deceiving. We'll know once we get the grain in. If you haven't seen my cleaning and testing water levels video, my sight glass is about 1 litre out. When I've got 19 litres in, I've actually got 20 litres in. And it stays like that all the way up. My old system was the other way, so now I've got to remember that this one reads 19 litres for 20. My other one used to read 21 litres for 20. Anyway, we're at 21 litres on here, which would mean, from my calculations the other day, we've probably got about 22 litres in there. So I can probably take out another litre. That'll do me. That's got to be around 21 litres. It's 20 and a bit by the sight gauge, but my sight gauge was a little bit out. I don't think that recorded. I just put my salts and my lactic acid in there. Yep, I got an air bubble in or something. Oops, not right. What am I doing? Well, that's strange. That was only from a stir and adding the salts. My pump has stopped. I just saw an air bubble come out down there somehow, and we got an air bubble in the pump. No, it's still not wanting to go though. So, hang on, alright,
take everything out. Give it a bit of shake and see if we can get that air bubble out. I'm guessing that's what it is. Hoping that's what it is. Just doesn't want to go. There is something weird in the... Oh no, it's gone down to... Yeah, there's the air bubbles or something. Because now it's saying there's 25 litres in there. There's air or something trapped in the pump. This is awkward.
So I ended up pulling everything out just so I could have a look. I should have just used the old tried and true method of blowing down the pipe. And what that does, it blows the water and the air out of the pump, but then that allows the water to re-enter into the pump and for it to work. I was just curious. I wanted to have a look because it just didn't look like there was any problems. It was just a freak accident.
By blowing down it is going to push more air in, but it might... if that made a difference. No, it did though. I don't know how we got that air bubble. It must have been air trapped under there or something. I think the pump was going for ages before. I don't know how it would have got air in it. When you're lowering and putting this in, you've got to watch for this bit on the nut here, on the side, so it doesn't catch on there. It's actually probably better to keep the handle holes sort of away from where this is. Water's in, we're at 70 degrees. I'm just going to run with that. Recipes. Brew recipe. Alright, batch number 1.
Now I have to admit I got a little bit confused here because the keyboard was covering the start brew button. So I ended up pressing brew again, and that's why you'll see it says that it's batch 2 now instead of batch number 1, but then I found the button. So I finally pressed start brew, and it said to start heating. Well, mine was already heated, of course, because I'd done that manually. So I still pressed the start heating button, and then it realised I was at temp, and it told me to add the grain. It says the system will maintain strike temperature until you're ready to start adding grains. Proceed when you are ready. So I press OK, and now it gives me time to add the grain, and then when I've added the grain, of course, I'll come back and press start mash.
I do have a full-size mash paddle, but this sort of spoon just seems to be a better size at the moment. Should I use some rice hulls? I probably should use some rice. It's a fairly small mash. I have got more rice hulls than this, but I'll just add this bag will be enough, I think. It's only going to be a thin mash bed. I don't think we'll have anything to worry about without the rice hulls. But we'll throw them in anyway. That's oh, I shouldn't stir it like that. I find it creates more balls, dough balls, than just sort of letting it soak for a minute. That seems like a lot of grain for that little space. I did use the newly set up Maltzilla, which I'm not... Oh, it's not too bad. Not a huge fan of... I haven't really set it up properly yet. It actually doesn't look too bad. I think I'm actually glad I went a good 21 litres instead of 19 as suggested, but that can be changed easily. I just think it would have been quite dry for the 19. This will be okay once it all gets wet. And of course we're going to recircle on top of it, but you still want to, you don't want it too thick. You just won't get that wort flowing well, and that'll stifle conversion and everything. So this could actually go with more water in. I reckon we haven't got any dough balls. I still reckon we're a touch thick. It is thin on the sides. I guess what it is I'm not used to. When you pull it away from the wall, that's what it is. The fluid can come through these side holes. That's exactly what it is. I didn't realise. So it's not actually pockets of water. Thought that was a bit strange. It's pulling in water from the sides. Which, see, if you've got a stuck mash, all your water's going to go down the sides. But there's not many holes. But at least it keeps the flow going. Maybe not through your grain as much, but I'm sure it's going to be okay. I should leave it the 5 minutes before I turn the pump on or so, shouldn't I? I'll just go and press start on the mash thing. See what it says. Alright, here we are. Start mash. The pump is about to turn on and recirculate. And make sure the mash base is in place and recirculation is attached before proceeding. Oh, that's lucky. Okay. Is it going to turn on? Oh, not with that off, is it? There we go. Oh, so it's full bore too. That's very fast. But it's got those holes on the side. I don't really like it splashing like that. Rather, I don't want it too far on the wort, but I'm just going to back it off a little. Not too much, as you can see there's still a bit of a flow going on there, but it's pushing the grain around. Alright, we'll see how it goes. So our element's gone down to 33%, so it doesn't overshoot. But we're only at 63.5. And our mash temp set at 65, and we were over 65 when we started, I think. See, now it's down to 16% power because we're actually on temp. And it drops a little bit down and goes up a bit. And back to temp. Sort of have a look. There is a fair bit of liquid on top. I do think the pump's going a bit fast. I think I'm going to back it off a bit. Just a bit. I don't... That's still plenty. I'd rather it not be doing that. What I did forget to do was add in the pH taking step, but that's okay. That'll do anyway. 5.25, I'm happy with that. It's only just enough to cover the thing. 5.24. Yeah, that'll do. 5.24. I've just had an alarm go off, but it's a reminder to heat up the sparge water. My sparge water's already hot. But it's clearing. And you can see, even though I turned it down, it's still going at a fair rate. We've actually still got 36 minutes to go, so I'm going to give the top a little bit of a mix up there. That'll just make sure everything's mixed. We've still got half an hour or more with mash out for anything to clear. Plenty of time. We're just about to finish the mash and it should go up to mash out by itself. The temp's changed. And then if I go and have a look, you can see now the elements been turned up to 100% and we're ramping. I won't start the timer till we get to the 75. What's going to be interesting here is what I was mentioning before, how it drops the element right down. And you know, the way I've seen it move before, it doesn't really ever get to the 75. So, well, to the 80, I've done it before, and to other in testing with water. So we'll just see. I'm not quite. Well, we've got to 74. I'll go and have a quick look at what the percentage is. We're down to 28%, so we're down to about a third. You can see it quite clearly. Oh, we're getting there now, 74.5. You can see it quite clearly there on the screen where it ramps up fast and then slows down so it doesn't overshoot. Where, you know, I mean, the machine probably doesn't know what we're doing. Even though it's called mash out, it might not know. So mash out, it wouldn't hurt if it overshot. Really. I usually mash out at 76. I've just gone with what the Grainfather app itself has given me for this mash out. 74.6. So I think that the temperature up the top only sort of updates every half a degree. Now we're getting there. But you can see down the bottom the timer hasn't started for the mash out yet. 74.8. Oh, we've got a beep. So we're beeped to 75 even though that's okay. So now the mash out has started now. Mash finished. Press set to dismiss the alarm. I know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to continue, or you're supposed to... What happens if I continue? Lift up the grain basket. Proceed. $15.8 litres, the app is saying. It seems a bit much. Oh yeah, but it said 19.8. I put in about 21 extra litres. Yeah, so about 15 litres. It'd be 14.8, about 15 litres. So it's turned the pump off and everything. So I can't show you how clear it is, but you can sort of see. It's not as clear as I kind of normally get it, but it's only my first go. I think, and it's only small though. It's only small, that because not every inch of the wort is going through the grain bed, because some of it's obviously going down the sides. You know, if every inch of it, or mil of it, went through the grain bed, it'd clear up quicker. But I think, you know, I stirred this a few times. Just wanted to make sure. Oops, see. And that's what I'd sort of will have to try and remember. That's what I'll have to try and remember for next time, because if that's in the grain when that pump stopped, that's going to suck grain down into the pump, and that's not a good thing. That's something to think about. So next time, before I turn that mash off, I'd yeah, pull this out of the grain. But let's get the basket out. That's going to drain really, really fast. Right, so that's the sparge done. We'll just let it go, drain. Alright, so, oh, it started to ramp already. I did not know that. Anyway, the sparge is finished. It's just finished now. I'm just about to, the basket's still on top, as you saw me just before. I'm just about to pull the basket off the top. I just thought I'd come and have a look. And it's already started to ramp towards boil. It's a 93 already. Interesting. I think there's a choice. You can either heat as you're sparging or not. It is what I used to do on my other systems, start ramping up to the boil as you pull the basket. Well, I just had to change my camera battery. And there's barely a drip coming out now, so I'm going to take that off. At the moment I haven't got anything big enough to put this in, so I'm going to have to open the garage door and run it out to the driveway. So that's after the basket's pulled. I'll try and have a look at the sight glass. So there we are. It's saying 27.5, which is 28.5. I'm supposed to get 26 out. Well, they reckon the boil off is 2.2 litres in an hour, so that's not much, but it's enough. We'll see, eh? So I'd expect at the end of the boil to be at the 25 litre mark. And down here it says set to skip to boil. And 100%, we're at 96 degrees already. We're going for 100 degrees, of course. I better get some hops ready. So we're at 99 degrees, we're sitting here, waiting for it to get to 100. It's a bit cold here tonight and a bit windy, but shouldn't be too much trouble. It's not a large amount of work. So we're saying it's 99. We're very close. I can see some steam coming up. Alright, that's the 100, it says. It says press set to continue. I guess that's boil reached. Press set to start timer. I'm not going to start the timer yet because I don't even think we're boiling. I'm just going to wait and see, but that's not even rolling. Like, you know, not even a simmer really. It's starting to sound a little bit more excited down the bottom. Is that the boil? I don't know. Maybe that's the boil. Not sure how much longer I want to wait. But then there's nothing worse if you start early and then it does actually start boiling. I mean, it's rolling over, but gee, only just. So slowly picking up. Come on, it's got to be better than a Brewmeister. Because Brewmeisters have notoriously low boils on some models. Do I start the timer now or do I wait? Oh yeah, it's slowly getting better. I was going to say, it's enough of the boil to get the alpha acids converted. Or the bittering of the hops to start. I think I'm just going to call it. Alright, we'll start the timer. We'll press the set button to start the timer on the boil. And we'll add the 10 gram. That's the start of the 60 minutes. And there's the 10 grams of Magnum. I might have to stir it in. I might not. Oh, hang on, it's starting. I should have waited another minute. That'll be alright. That'll be alright. So that took a while. At nearly 9 o'clock, 5 to 9 say, and 20 to 9-ish. Oh, about 15 minutes.
When I say 15 minutes, that was from when it said it was boiling to when it actually boiled. Although it doesn't start the boil timer until you say it's boiling. So you can see there where it ramped right up and it was sort of in the 90s, and then it just sort of leveled out for a little while, and then it raised up to boiling, but then it wasn't really boiling in the pot, even though it said it was at 100 degrees. But then 15 minutes after it said it was at 100 degrees is when the boil was really boiling in the pot, and that's when I pressed the start of boil. So the pre-boil reading is actually what my original gravity should be at the end of boil. So I can raise up the efficiency. Now I can say this now because the brew's finished, but I think that reading was a bit low and I hadn't mixed the wort properly because we were well up at the end. Pre-boil, 10:43. We're at 10:43. Now can I go back and... Guessing I can. Can I go back? What's that book thing? Pre-boil gravity. Was 1.043. And the pre-boil volume... Oh, I forget. It's on camera. The trouble when I film everything, I don't have to remember things. We'll just, for now, we can change it later maybe. We'll write 28.4 or whatever it was, or something like that. Our pre-boil gravity is the same as what we're supposed to finish at. But I think we'll probably come down low in volume, and that's probably why. There is a fair bit has drained out of that mash tun I've put outside. But it was barely dripping. It would have taken this whole half hour to get all that out. Or whatever it's been. Anyway, we're off. Go and have a check of the boil. Now we're 6 minutes in. So again, try and excuse the steam, but we're 6 minutes in and that looks like it's about as big a boil we're going to get at the moment. Which is enough. It is enough. As I said, I've seen a lot of other systems that have even lower boil than this. Right, I'm going to scoop out some wort. You can use the pump if you really want to. Be a bit cleaner. That's my 5-minute timer. I'm running a bit late. Granulated wort flop. PVP. I could probably do a bit more, but yeah. You can see the grain in there. Exactly what I've told people not to do with other systems. I did with this system by turning off the pump while it was in the grain. It's the only way you'll get grain, you know, underneath things, underneath your screens. There's not much I can do about it now. Anyway, I'm going to chuck that in the boil for a bit. I'm going to try and use this like a whirlpool somehow. Yeah, we'll see how we go. Right, that's the end of the boil. Add the hop stands. I'll do that in a sec. I'll just let it stop rolling over so we don't get bubbles. Alright, that's going to do. I'm going to try and turn this pump on and see what happens. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to turn out of automatic or not. I'm just going to try and press set to see what happens. Press set to continue. Right, we're in the hop stand, but there's no pump on. Alright, I want the pump on, so can I turn the pump on? Yes, I can. There's the pump. Get a little bit of a whirlpool going, and I'll put the hops in. I was originally going to do 50 grams of each, but because I'm doing no chill now, I've dropped it down to 30 grams of each. Talus and Citra for this one. I've been wanting to try the combination. Got a nice whirlpool going. I'll whirlpool that for about 5 minutes, and then I'll turn the pump off and let it steep for about 5 minutes so it settles out.
That is 5 minutes up. So now just to try and let some of this junk settle out, I'm going to turn the pump off for another 5 minutes. Just to help things settle out a bit. Be good to have a lid on if I wasn't videoing. For those interested, it says we've got 4 minutes left. I was a little bit slow. We're already down to 91.5. And really, I want to get this into the cube before it gets to 80. I'd like to get into the cube now, and I could, but I'm just going to let it settle out a little bit. You don't want a cube under 80 degrees. You want to get into the cube hot. I know you'll hear people say, oh, I've done it many times. Well, I get that many messages about what's gone wrong with their no cube. Why is it infected? Why has it started fermenting in the cube? And it's always when they've done one of those hop stands under 80. So they might be starting their hop stand at 80. And then by the time it gets into the cube, it could be 70, 60. Not good. Not good at all. Hop stand timer finished. Press set to continue. Brew finished. Use the counterflow chiller to cool the beer and transfer it to the fermenter. I'm not going to do that. I'm going into my cube. And a brew. Good time for a sip of my Mountain Culture Dolly NIPA. Now the idea of doing 26 litres today was to have enough to do a starter. So tomorrow, when I put the no chill in the cube, in the fermenter, I would have had a starter ready to dump into, but from the amount that it's saying on the sight glass, which by the way, you know, I better take a photo of it. I should stop playing with that. I better take a photo of it so everyone's happy.
Surprisingly, it's at the 25 litre mark, which, as I said before, I'm a litre down by my reading, so that's actually 26 litres. We got it. Weirdly though, when I filled the cube, I didn't quite get what I wanted for the starter, as you'll see. I think what I'll do is what I do in my other systems again, and that's if I want a 23 litre batch, I'll put it at 24. Then you don't have to worry and struggle, you know, about trying to get that last litre out or anything. Pump.
Getting pretty low, but see how we go, eh? You really got to watch these when you get near the end and slow it down, otherwise you're going to just go slow, 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 and all of a sudden it goes fast, 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 and I'm burning my fingers. Really looking forward to Talus and Citra combo though, which I haven't tried yet. Slow down. There's not much left though. I have got my flask here, but I don't think they're going to get enough. Come on, stop with the foam. Stop. Stop with the foam, I don't want to overflow. Oh, that's going to do. I don't want to make too much of a mess. A little bit more. Alright, hang on, that's going to do for that. Just put that on there for a sec. And, oh, I don't think we're going to get a litre out of that. I doubt that very much. Yeah, no, that was a bit of a waste of time. For those interested, well, that's weird. It looked like it said it had a lot more than that in it. Less than a litre. Less than a litre. It's a bit hard for you to see on that angle. Yeah, less than a litre. I'm not going to bother about it at that level. I don't care about the hop cone. Well, I'm worried about now I've got to wash my flask again. But what we do want to do, since we're here, is clean up. Well, that's dried already, and that's gunky, manky stuff you don't want to dry on there. Because that'll grow mould or whatever, or wild yeast, or something will start chumping on it. And then when you go to fill your fermenter later, it can, that can end up, if you're very, very unlucky, you end up in your fermenter, which you don't want, of course. Don't need to use these, but they make it so much easier. Don't go too hard or you'll pop it because it'll be soft plastic. There's no need at all to squeeze that out. Well, I guess if you're going to try and be crazy and do like a 70 degree in there after you've done a 20-minute 80 degree hops down, then you probably do, but you're probably risking. That's it. Clean up. Clean up's really easy. This stuff can probably go through the pump, but most of that, if I didn't ruin that lump of hops you'd pull out on the plate here. I was a bit silly then, a bit reckless. But, and then anyway, even if you didn't, this stuff will just flush through the pump anyway. Open up the bottom and just flush it out with a hose.
Alright, that's it. I was going to add the cleaning on the end. I think I'll put that in a separate video. We're at 40 minutes or something already. I think that's long enough. It's really simple cleanup, but I'll put that in another video. Thanks for watching. You got any questions? Leave them down below. I will be doing more proper recipe videos. As I said, this was just a test batch, 5 kilo of grain in, see what happens at the end. I'm happy. I got my volumes nearly. I got the volumes post-boil, but I didn't quite get as much out of the machine as I thought. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. If you're a brewer, you'll probably understand. It said 26 litres on the... So even though it was reading 26 litres on the sight glass at the end, I didn't quite get that out, I don't think, in the end. But there's a lot of, there's a lot trapped in the hops there. If I had waited and drained it slower, I probably could have got more out. But, I'm not fussed. Next time I'll just up the batch size a little bit, just to make sure, give you that leeway, which I do on any other systems anyway. Anyway, it was a really enjoyable brew day. I think I will be getting the 15 amp cord to run it on 15 amps. As you saw, you don't need to, but I think it'd speed it up a little bit, and you might get a little bit better boil. Not that that matters, there was enough boil there today, but that was just my thoughts. I'm going to get one because I'm lucky enough to have a 15 amp plug out there, so all I've got to do is buy the cord and I'll be ready to go. Alright, thanks for watching. Thanks to Grainfather for supplying the unit. As I said, they gave it to me for free for review. This isn't a paid review at all, it's just my thoughts. Right, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and thanks to my patrons, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.